Dudes to Dads is a podcast to help men understand and navigate the transition of being a single dude into a family man. How do we make sense of it all? Well, we probably won't be able to, but let's go ahead and have some fun trying. And we're back.
We are back.
I'm Jason Kreidman.
I'm Alan Bush.
And this is Dudes to Dads. Welcome, Alan.
Welcome yourself, Jason.
How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. How about yourself?
Another exciting week in Dudes to Dads land.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is this the land of dudes?
This is the land
of dads.
This is where it happens. Dudes hang out here. Dads hang out here.
Right.
Actually, there's no dudes here.
I'm a dude.
Well, no, but I'm saying not, when you're not here.
Oh, you're right. There's one dude,
there's
not
one,
plural.
Right. When you're here, there's one dude. When you're not here, there's one dad and occasionally some other dads. No, I don't know. Well, we just got done with a meetup group here, so I'm coming off that high.
That's awesome.
As some of you may or may not know, we host a local in North San Diego. Mm-hmm. We host a meetup group for dads.
Of the show,
yeah, the origins of the show. And so awesome conversation tonight. We had some new people there, some old people that came back, if they haven't seen them in a while. Just all in all, great conversation.
Yeah, the few people that I had met while I was here setting up said it was great.
It's really always good to hear that.
Your buddy who's been on the show.
Yeah. People like it's interesting because with us we talk about we talk about things.
Sure.
But I get a lot of feedback and having a group full of guys. And it was funny because there's different situations that somebody will pose a question and say like, okay, what do you guys think?
Yeah.
And it's just really cool to get that sort of group think and people, have different perspectives, how to solve situations. Cause there's so many different perspectives and we don't all agree. And so it is really cool. I mean, the way that we raise our kids, the way that we discipline, the way that, our spouses, I mean, all kinds of stuff. And there's people in different situations. Some are divorced, some are single, some have, a newborn, it's really interesting.
It's kind of cool how diverse the group is.
I mean, with one stages. The common thing is they all want to be better dads. Mm-hmm. And also help others. I mean, that's the interesting part is that there are people that, will join and be there. And that's a lot what this podcast is about too. It's like, to share it with other people that may benefit from it. So, if you are listening, maybe this can be shared with somebody that you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's something
a really good point.
Yeah. It's kind of saying, hey, listen, I check this out. And it's not preachy. It's not saying, hey, I think, you need to fix something, but it's just, hey, you might enjoy this because, it's about dads or something. So with that, we love when people share it through whether it's Facebook, Twitter, other social media. Yeah.
Or if you have any questions, email podcast@dudestodads.com.
That's right. Yeah. And so let's get on with this show.
All right.
Today's show is about negativity. Once again, something that I know nothing about. I like to have shows where I have no relation whatsoever to the topic. So the inspiration for this episode about negativity, I'm sorry. So remember we had recently interviewed Alan Brown.
Yeah.
Does Crusher TV and that kind of stuff, the productivity stuff.
Guy's great.
I started watching his videos.
Yeah.
They are, first of all, they're so good. And he is funny. There is.
He's got that sharp wit. Yeah.
There is an episode 22, Crusher TV, how to whoop negative thinking.
Yeah.
And seriously, he has a scene in there and he's acting. He's doing both parts and he's talking about being a waiter at a negativity restaurant and like ordering all the stuff. And then he's also the waiter talking about what they have on the menu. And seriously, I was laughing out loud. It was so good. So plug to Alan and what he's doing over there.
Alan Brown, Crusher TV.
Yeah,
Crusher.
we'll
TV?
put a link again. Yeah, it's crushertv.com.
Yeah.
Well, because he came and he's like, here, check these out. And like, I mean, and it's great stuff. And I was really, really enjoying it.
That's awesome.
It was so funny. And the fact like he's acting in both, like you can see how much effort he puts into these.
Sure,
things,
yeah.
I mean,
he writes scripts.
He is, he's coming up with the content and I mean, he does interviews and stuff too, but like as a fellow person who's putting together content, the appreciation is just is huge.
Oh yeah, especially you got to work with video.
Yeah, he's working with video and just doing all this stuff. It's really well done, and he's got some great experts on there. The woman he has on there is a coach, and she's great too. So I highly recommend it. Cool. It's not only entertaining, but it's very informative. And so that was a lot I was watching this. I'm like, gosh, you know what? A lot of these things are things that I do. Like, talking about like just the various negative ways we do stuff and how we do it and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I want to do that on a show.
Right.
So that, and along with, doing a little bit more research on tips and things, that's how I came up with these 10 tips.
Awesome. Okay.
So I wanted to get into that.
Cool.
This was an article. Actually, a couple articles it was prompted from an article as well as a discussion I had at home about negativity. Yeah. And, I can see where there will be times where I might have a negative view. And I'm just saying once in a while.
Right.
This is not a very regular occurrence. Well, and you can smell my sarcasm.
No, but that's a good question. I was going to ask you that. Do you consider yourself a negative person, or do you have negative traits? Like things that come out negatively sometimes.
I think here's my honest opinion, because nobody's listening, right? Nobody will hear it.
No, of course not. We're not on a mic or anything.
Yeah, except for all those visitors that I've just saw on their stats. I think I have a tendency to view things through a negative lens.
So the opposite of rose-colored glasses.
Correct.
Okay.
So I think that those who are not really close to me, let's say, would probably think that I am very positive and, I'm upbeat and, like you might think that and say, well, when I'm around you, you're happy and fun and stuff. Yeah. Those that are really close to me and see it on a daily basis, and I'm probably a little bit more open about the stresses and things like that, would probably have a tendency to think that I would, like I said, look at things a little bit more negatively.
Gotcha.
And so I'm looking at it for myself. I do think that's a way to explain it, is I often may look at things with a negative lens.
Gotcha.
So that can mean that I don't necessarily consider myself like a downer. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel like I'm a downer person.
Yeah.
But when I look or evaluate things, I have a tendency to look at the negative first.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
No, that makes sense. And knowing you for a number of years, I would.
It's like, how do I poke holes in this? Even business wise.
And that's and it could be a good trait in some cases, but in other cases it may not be.
Right. So when you're dealing with people, it's not necessarily
like life.
good.
It wouldn't be good in life.
Yeah, like business and consulting, that is my job. In my work life, I have what I do is I fix things that are broken.
For sure.
Yeah. I have to point out, do audits on people's things.
When we do audits, that's what our job is, to poke holes in and figure out what the problems are.
Right. Here's all the things that you're doing wrong. And here's how you need to fix it.
Which I kind of like doing.
Right. The problem is that when you then take that into your life. So
you can't do that in real life.
I've made a conscious effort, kind of like the acceptance that we talked about before. Yeah. Another theme that I'm sort of going and I call it studying or kind of trying to focus on is the negativity. And one of the things I think I brought up in the episode recently with going to the gym early in the morning, it was the procrastination or something like that.
Yeah.
It was taking it and looking at it positive instead of negative, and we'll talk about that, where instead of me looking at getting up early as like, oh, I don't want to get up, I look at what is the positive result of that. Say, oh, I'm going to feel so good at the end. So making that sort of conscious effort to do that is something that's an ongoing thing, And so I think, awareness is the first step,
for sure.
And then acceptance is, and so, but I want to reduce that negativity. And I think those around me can see that, and I definitely think, especially my kids, they're watching, and that's kind of what I was saying with like the title of this, it's like your kids are watching,
right?
Like you have to reduce your negativity because you don't want this to transfer into your kids.
Sure. Set an example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. So there's a couple things. So the first one, start listing what you're grateful for.
Okay.
So, focus on what's good.
Yeah. Count your blessings.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. Count your blessings. So talk about, or, just write it down, listing the things that you are grateful for. And when I take a step back and look at the things that are in my life, it is hard to be negative.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
My wife, my children, my family, my friends.
Yeah.
I just recently celebrated a birthday, look at like the friends that I have around. I mean, just all this stuff.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, why I don't need to be negative.
Puts in things in perspective.
It totally puts it in perspective.
Yeah.
You know, you can focus on something and go, ooh, I got taxes and I've got, all this other stuff. But you know what? Like in the big picture, I got it pretty darn good.
Doing all right.
Yeah. I got it pretty darn good. So that's something, the difference here is not just thinking about it, but actually writing it down, which I think is something, that's a good, write down what you are grateful for. And another tip that wasn't on here, but it kind of in the same thing is always go to bed kind of mentioning or talking about what it is, something that you're grateful for.
Right.
So you like kind of leave the day on a positive note.
Yeah.
Which people said like do your prayers before you go into bed. And that wasn't something we did as a kid, but I get it. Yeah. It's like, here's here's what I'm saying. I'm thankful for, and I'm good. Like that totally makes sense.
For sure.
Number 2, walk or exercise. Just get your body moving.
Yep.
So that's, and I identify with that one. It's like the endorphins. There's all kinds of stuff that release. When I exercise, that is a form of meditation for me. I'm in a zone. I even like you can say getting some anger out. I mean, people like do boxing. People do something really, really physical.
Yeah.
They run, whatever. That absolutely helps. So that's a way to reduce the negativity.
Yeah, and actually studies show that when you do that, you reduce the risk of having depression, a variety of other illnesses, all kinds of things.
And keep in mind, all these things that we're talking about are things that your children are going to see you doing.
Yes.
So they see that, and whether they see you doing the activity or they see or feel that you're not as negative, that's a benefit as well.
Yeah.
I don't want I think about it from my perspective of the kid. I don't want my kids to think of me as a negative person. Right. I don't want anyone to, but especially my kids.
Your kids, yeah.
Like, hey, if somebody asks, hey, is your dad happy? I'd like them to say, yeah. I mean, overall, yes. Yeah. And at the same time, like, I don't want to fake it.
Right.
Where it's like, oh, I'm always trying to be happy around my children. I want to be honest.
Forcing a grin on your face.
I want to be real.
Yeah.
And, keep it 100, as they say. No. Do they say that? Is that what the kids are saying?
I don't think they say that.
Keep it 100? 110? Something? Isn't that what they're talking about?
Something. If that's what they say, I don't know they say it.
I don't know.
I'm not hanging out with those crowds.
I am not down. So that was number 2.
Do you think people are you weird around people watching you exercise? This is a weird question.
Watching?
Yeah, like if you were to see your kids watching you exercise.
Oh, no. My kids get involved with it. It's funny. So the other day, my son did the entire... We do some of...
you do Insanity or something?
We do a lot of them. I will say a lot of those workouts, the Beachbody and P90X and that kind of stuff. So
your son's P90Xing?
What's that?
Your son's P90Xing?
No, he did. There's an MMX workout, which is the karate martial arts. He did the full workout with my wife.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, he's 7.
Yeah.
And he did it. But they're in martial arts, so he loved it.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so I mean, that's part of, monkey see, monkey do. They see us exercising on a daily basis.
Sure.
So they love it. I mean, they get involved. They see they're trying to do pull-ups. I mean, they when they're very young, they just want to be like your parents. And as they grow, they're like, it becomes part of their lifestyle as well.
Yeah.
So I don't, I mean, it's funny when I started doing things out of the house, because I kind of do both. It depends on how, like, the regimen that I'm doing at the time. But I couldn't believe how small of a space I actually can exercise in. When we had our small children, and it was like there's stuff all over the house. Literally, it's like a 4x4 square foot thing. And I'm like, how do I exercise in this little space? Yeah. But you just get it done.
Sure.
So, but yeah, to answer your question, the kids enjoy it. So
that's fun.
Yeah, I don't mind. I mean, it's just part of it. I don't like necessarily them like, hey, what about this? And they're like, in the middle of your workout.
Right.
But
interrupting it, but
participating's okay.
That's good.
Number 3, do something creative. Mm-hmm. So paint, write. This one actually has not been something that for me. Like I don't, that's not an outlet for me of like whether it's painting or drawing or something like that. A lot of people do though. For them, emotion, when they're feeling down or whatever, they paint. I know I have a friend who does that. It's like literally when
we just went to a thing called Pino's Palette, not to give them a plug, but and essentially you get a a palette, what do you a paint thing? What do you call that thing? Easel, and the thing you paint on.
Sounds like
rhymes with.
Yeah.
And they give you that someone's teaching you how to paint this painting.
So this is local,
and this is local. Actually, that's closer to where I live, and a little bit further south in San Diego. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. And like,
that's a great.
I'm realizing like how much I really want to get back into that artistic stuff that doesn't involve like a monitor in front of me. Because I do create music, but it's usually a monitor involved.
Yeah. So for you, that could be a method.
It's
of
a
you
great outlet. Yeah. Because I used to draw when I was a kid, and up until probably in college, and then I kind of weaned off of it, and now I don't do it anymore. But I think that's a great.
Well, it's cool to recognize that, and then you say, "Oh, cool!" Like next time, maybe invest a little bit in that and be able to do that.
For sure.
No, that's cool, and I think people. I mean, even like you said, you do music and things like that.
Yeah,
so for
there
you,
are creative outlets.
Yeah, people. People will play an instrument. They'll pick up the instrument when they're upset, and like, many people will say, that's what got me through a situation or whatever. Is that it's inspirational.
I just saw my buddy. He did it. They basically had an improv jam session at this place called Winston's, and the same thing. Like they just get up and play with each other. None of them know each other.
Right.
They get up.
That's so cool. I wish I could do that
so much. I'm like, that's so cool. He said, I'm just going to play the drums. I didn't even know he played drums. He only plays guitar, but he just started playing.
And it all sounds pretty good.
It sounds like a song was created. I'm like, that's amazing. You guys never met before. You should get together more often.
Right. A band was formed. It was
yeah. It's awesome.
No, that's cool. Number 4, help others.
Yeah.
Which we've talked about that, focusing on other people helps reduce your focus, the focus on yourself.
Yeah.
And negativity is a lot of that. It's focusing on yourself.
For sure.
So helping others.
Viewpoint.
Yeah.
If you think about it, either if you're negative towards other people or towards yourself.
Right.
It's both of them come from the same viewpoint.
No, that's cool. So helping others is something where, you can do that. And granted, it's probably going to just feel good.
Yeah. Right.
Forget about.
You got to be a sadist if you don't think that's cool.
Yeah. So that's one. Number 5, talk about it. So either with a friend or I'd say a therapist is probably better. Sometimes, you don't want to have, like you said, I think I remember you said you talk to one friend and they're always dumping. Like that's like the conversation with them is always about them getting out what they need to get out.
Yeah.
I can tell you, so the other night I have an example. I was really upset about something that happened during the day. And totally unrelated to my family and kids and all that. It's just totally not related. And I was upset.
Yeah.
And I brought that home, that feeling. And I knew I was probably going to fester for a while. It was just something that I didn't like. And so my wife was like, hey, is everything okay? I'm like, no, it's not, but I really didn't want to talk about it,
Yeah.
And then I got to my kids and I realized how I was kind of short. And so as I was like, we were home, we had dinner, and I was just kind of festering through that. I actually, when we were doing the bed routine, going to bed routine for them, I actually took them aside and talked to them about it and just said, hey, here's what's going on with me, in very simple terms.
Yeah.
And they kept on asking a bunch of questions. I was just like, well, no, I'm not necessarily, saying that, but, and sort of express though why I was upset. And I immediately felt better. Like immediately, I mean, I wasn't cured of the situation,
right?
But I immediately felt better, and they had a much better understanding of what was going on with me. And I thought that was fair. I really didn't want them to think that it was them, or whatever.
And you're not dumping the problems on.
No,
them.
and the same thing with my wife. Like, I mean, that's the thing where you say, like, hey, listen, I'm really upset at this, this, and this, and if you can recognize that, that's like, it reduces the fight and reduces like an argument tenfold.
Yeah.
Because you realize it's like a lot of times when you have an argument, it's not even related to the argument. You're mad about something else and you just have to take it out on somebody who's in front of you. And so the same thing with the children. And I realized like it was just a kind of a split second thing where like, you know what, I've got to tell them. Like, I just want to at least explain that this is something that happened. I'm upset about it. I'm going to try not to be upset about it anymore, but this is it. And I did. I felt better. So that was something, I was feeling negative and obviously pushing that out around me.
Right.
So it works.
That's awesome. No, that's
At
great.
least it worked for me.
Yeah.
Change number 6, change the negative thought into a positive one. And that I spoke about like what I did about getting up in the morning.
Right.
You can take almost any negative thought, not everything, but
sure.
And kind of spin it and think about how could I look at that in a positive way?
Yeah.
Something that is really, really bad, you could look at it as a challenge, maybe.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I got to get over this challenge. Like this is something, versus, it's just insurmountable. I can't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead,
exactly.
and I'm not talking positive, talking like I can do it. But it's like, you know what? I'm going to put my effort here. I've got to make the best of it.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah,
and I think just that sort of self-talk is going to help. Of course, these are all easier said than done.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
Every one of these tips.
It takes practice.
Right. This is not something like, oh, feel good. And just,
exactly. Just be good.
Right. Just think positively. No, it doesn't work like that. They do take practice. And like I said, I mean, I could be focusing on these for such a long time. This kind of stuff, though, is kind of in the forefront. Like for me, negativity, acceptance, those kinds of things are sort of on the forefront of my self-development, if you will, versus like, there's a bunch of other topics that I'm just like, I'm not worried about those right now, that have to do with myself or
sure.
Those just happen to be on the forefront. So that's why I decided to talk about it, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
I like this one. Number 7, surround yourself with positive people.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
kind of a no-brainer at that point. I mean, you really can't be around people who bring you down all the time, right? Because eventually you're going to.
No, and I said as an example, my wife is Joy from the movie, Inside Out. Okay. I mean, always happy, wakes up in the morning, rolls the window, and is like, just always positive.
Yeah.
And that's infectious. Like it's hard to be mad a lot of times, and not that you always want to see the happiness, but it's like. And so I think even too with my friends and things like that, you're right. It's like, you got to surround yourself with people who are happy.
Yeah.
Or people who are at least positive. I wouldn't say happy.
They don't have to be, Snow White all the time.
But they also think of you positively,
Yeah, right.
They're not negative on you.
Yeah.
So and that can be hard because, there are people, like you said, there's a friend who's always dumping.
Yeah.
It makes you not want to be around that friend.
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, I just don't want to hear it all the time.
And that's the unfortunate part about it. It's like sometimes, I have a lot of patience when it comes to that, and I don't mind being quote unquote dumped on. Yeah. But after a while, I'm like, I'm good. I need to go home and talk to people who aren't drowning me in their sorrow, Right. So, you definitely want to be around people that.
Well, you're not a therapist.
Exactly, for one.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's the hard part. I've got to imagine if you are in that field.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's why I got out of psychology.
Yeah. I mean, even talking with dads, it's like, when I have one-on-one consultation or I talk in a group or do there's always those kinds of questions. It's hard because you want to really stay positive.
Yeah. And you want to be there for your friends. And if your friends dump on you once in a while, I'm here for you. That's when it's a mutual exchange, it's great because then I have friends where I can go, oh man, this thing sucked the other day or whatever else happened.
But then they're going to talk about something positive.
Yeah. And then they're the type of friend to be like, you know what? I got your back. Let's get a beer. Let's hang out. And then we'll go with the conversation of a roller coaster of sometimes it's negative, sometimes it's positive, but it's always positive because we're talking together about these subjects versus dumping on me and then, well, thanks. Leave me as a husk of a human being. Yeah. Just drain psychological vampires that just suck the energy out of you.
Yeah, no, that's not somebody that you're going to want to be around. So surround yourself with positive people. That's the main thing.
Right.
8, meditation. Mm-hmm. So, and this can take many forms. I mean, like we said, exercise was one, but meditation in itself about being still, quiet, thinking about nothing.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily mean watching TV.
That's not really
because that is somewhat mind numbing, but you're not thinking about nothing. You're thinking about what's going on.
Yeah.
Meditation really is about being still and being quiet.
Kind of a singular focus almost. Yeah.
And it's really hard when you have a lot going on.
Oh yeah.
It really is. I mean, that's a hard thing to do, to sit and do that. Sure. But it takes practice.
Yep.
So that it's kind of like, for some people, and I know myself included, I can have a really bad day. I can be feeling negative, but I still can sleep wonderfully. Like it's just it's one of those things I was lucky.
Yeah.
I don't have difficulty with sleep.
Yeah.
There are other people that when they're upset, negative, whatever, like they can't sleep.
Yeah.
It's practice.
Yeah. No, for sure.
It's just something. It's funny because my whole family can do it. When we're mad, we sleep. When we're upset, we sleep. It's just but it's something where, same thing with meditation. It is a practice where you just. Like it's hard to say that sleep was a practice, but you know what I'm saying. It's like it's not going to happen the first time.
Sure,
it's like
sure.
As it becomes, whether it's a daily routine, weekly routine, whatever, you begin and you build those muscles.
Right.
in the ability to do that.
Yeah.
So
makes sense.
Number 9, change your state.
So what go that to means, Illinois.
Drive to a different place.
Exactly.
No, sit up straight if you're slouching.
Yep.
Put a smile on your face if you're frowning. Stand tall if you're shrugging.
Yeah.
I recall Tony Robbins, motivational speaker, in his stuff talking about this, and it was really, he would snap his fingers. Changing your state. And I remember listening to that, and that was a big thing where, and even you'll see throughout the podcast, as I just did just now, I sit up straight.
Yeah.
Because I think like if I start getting a little bit more mellow or something that I need to keep up, or even things like at work, if I'm feeling a little bit like down or bored, I immediately sit up straight, stand up, do something different, change my state.
Yeah.
And that's the idea of like when you're negative, you have to identify what other parts of your body and your body language are you exuding that is negative.
Right.
If you look at somebody with their shoulders down, their heads kind of tilted down, that's a negative state.
Yeah.
So if you put pick yourself up, put your head up, that in itself, is going to do.
That's where a lot of these phrases come from.
Right.
Pick your head up.
Pick your head up.
Literal and
there you go.
Figuratively.
And then number 10, the last thing, take positive action. So with all of these things, it's like, just don't do nothing. Just do something.
Yeah, do something.
Nike,
start somewhere.
Nike put it beautifully. Just do it. Like it's really that
Didn't they
simple.
also say swoosh?
They did. And I'm giving credit to them. I'm not taking this. I don't need any sort of Nike lawyer coming at me.
Exactly.
But it was brilliant. It's like, it's just take a break, walk, do something, take action. Just don't sit and do nothing.
Yeah.
And that's really, really important. So, that's what I said about all of these ways to reduce negativity. Like your kids are watching you as you do this.
Yeah.
And as a dad, it's really, really important that they see, how you act, how you do these things. And that's honestly, just sometimes that's enough for me to change what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I know it's going to benefit me, but like when I think about it, like I said, like that situation with I'm negative and I feel like to do it for your kids, like that's a great reason that all of a sudden then helps you as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's incentive there for sure.
So if you have any ways that you use to reduce your negativity or, some thoughts on this, please send us an email or send an email to podcast@dudestodads.com.
That's right.
And also, share it. Share this on social media.
Yeah,
Facebook,
share it on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever it is.
We have a tendency to post these things as they come out, but we certainly share the love that is always important.
It's funny. I posted on my Facebook recently. It's like, I don't share this enough, but I actually help, co-host and a podcast called Dudes to Dads, and so I started promoting it a little bit more. Yeah. Awesome. I mean, I did it on LinkedIn more and like Twitter, but I forgot Facebook. I'm like, I guess I have people there that like
good.
it.
That's good.
A lot of dads I know.
Yeah, people can follow you.
Yeah,
too.
for sure.
So with that, Alan, thank you for another good week.
Yeah, thank you.
And let's everyone reduce their negativity. And with that,
let's say serenity now.
Yeah, namaste. We will see you next week.
See you next time.